Today, social media in colleges and on campus. EdCamp, what is it and what do you do if you're new to it? And flipping the faculty meeting. I'm Josh.
And I'm Jake.
And I'm Matt.
This is iTechNation. So, Jake, social media, a topic we love to get into. What do you think? What's going on?
Oh yeah, I think that's like we said, we've talked about it a lot and how we want to use it in the classroom, but a lot of people don't think of what happens outside of the classroom and what effects it can have other than just in high school or in the classroom. And a lot of people are starting to look at that for jobs and for colleges, and so it's something that obviously adults don't think about it enough, let alone students and kids, because they're on social media and posting whatever they think. They're F-bombing this, F-bombing that, inappropriate pictures.
F-bomb. What's an F-bomb? I shouldn't say that because Jake might actually tell me what an F-bomb is. I agree. I've got kids in my campus. I've seen from other campuses that post inappropriate things, and sometimes what they post is inappropriate, but to them it's not, because we've talked many a time about how the connected generation has a different idea about what is appropriate and what is not, because their ideas about privacy are completely different. So how does this affect campus life, or how does this affect your college admissions?
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people don't think about, is how it can really affect you in the long run. And they're just thinking about right now, but a lot of colleges are looking at social media to decide if they're going to admit a student or not, because of what they're posting and how they're how they view themselves and how they view other people.
But it's okay, because when I see you online, I view you as more beards and flannel, and I'm sure that's the way your wife views you too. But
yes, every day.
Like Al Borland or something.
It's exact. He made our lights. I mean,
exactly.
it is a perception, and we talk a lot about perception. So those colleges, they do look this stuff up because they don't want to let somebody in that has done nothing but bully or be negative about their current school or talk about how much they hate life. I mean,
right.
The sad part about it is they want those people to get help. They don't necessarily want them to come to their campus.
Yeah. And that's an article that I read. They were talking about a admissions officer. She was trying to decide between they can only let so many people in, and when you have great applicants and you're looking at what some of the applicants have done, and they're top of their class and they're in this activity and that activity, but then they go on their social media and one of them is posting a lot of racy pictures and different things that you wouldn't want to be shown around your campus.
Recently, there's been a Duke University student who posted, who was actually in a career that was totally inappropriate for any sort of social media, and so she was actually smart about it. I've read the article. She was smart about it. She tried to keep both lives separate, but of course it came about what she was doing on the campus, and the campus got students and faculty and other people, alumni, they condemned her for what she was doing. Yeah. But it was almost all of this discussion took place through social media. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and that's if they have all these inappropriate things, do they want them on their campus, giving their campus a bad name because of those things? And another thing you got to look at is if they're not on social media and you can't find anything out about them, what do you think about that? And that's something to look at as well.
Where have they been hiding?
And I also think you got to start thinking of social media as not separate anymore. It's your profile, whether it's online or not. I mean, that's how people are looking at you. A lot of times they meet you on social media before they even see you in person.
Right.
So I think one of the biggest struggles is getting past this, kind of like with technology integration. I mean, we don't want it to be separation anymore. People have got to see that it's you just online. It's your biography written out or whatever. So,
and I think something that everybody does take into consideration when they see it is the selfies with the pursed lips, maybe some pictures, of girls. I see a lot of, they've got a nice outfit on, so they take pictures and they put it up. Things like that, they look at that. That's just normal kid stuff. They get that. They're not condemning that. They're looking for the 14-year-old posting pictures with the beer can in their hand.
Right.
Or in one instance, I know of a student who took pictures with him, holding a gun. And it wasn't a gun that you would use for hunting or for any sort of outdoor sports. It was a gun with a threatening comment with it.
Yeah.
And later, the situation was that it was not a real gun; it was a fake gun. But it didn't matter. It was social media, and it sure looked real.
Oh yeah.
So imagine the campus that sees that on their social media and says, "Hey, we want to let you into our campus. You're taking pictures with threats and guns."
Yeah.
Not something we like to do today's day and age.
look what happened to Aaron Hernandez, too,
Yeah.
with the New York Giants player.
Oh, yeah.
Was it the Patriots?
Patriots, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I have no idea what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Well, basically,
I follow football. I just haven't paid attention.
He was accused of a crime, and social media came back into play where he had posted years ago in college pictures of him with handguns and that, and then they were able to link that to the murder weapon and yada yada. So
yeah, and that's I didn't know that part about him. Going back with the social media, but I mean I knew the story about him.
Social media does not go away.
Yeah.
Once you put a picture on the internet, as a matter of fact, there was an article yesterday, U.S. Airways. Somebody put a picture up on Twitter, and it was highly inappropriate. And no matter how many times I clicked on the picture, I couldn't get it to show me what it was. I had to wait and kind of see it. They wrote a description.
Oh, well.
But it was inappropriate, little boys and girls.
Yeah.
But guess what? It was up for an hour, and yet every major news feed, social media feed had that picture.
Yeah.
1 hour on the internet, everybody's got it. It's trending.
Yeah, because once they delete it, someone else had already copied it, and they can't go and delete all those copies and the retweets and whatever, so that it's out there, like you said.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, we do, these counselors, they are taking everything with a grain of salt. We're not saying that you've got to be perfect angels, and they do understand also that you may not be in control of what has been snapped of you and tagged.
Yeah.
Because I have found situations where my picture's up and I didn't even know it, and my name was attached to it.
Yeah.
Thankfully, they were, innocent. I was at weddings and things like that, and I have learned that when in taking in some sort of adult beverage, that you put the beverage off to the side now when they're taking pictures. And honestly, I've read articles about college students who are going to the job market, going on spring break. Spring break communities have talked about how social media has calmed down the parties. Spring break, people have, they've discovered that they go on trips. Yeah. They're not advertising their favorite adult beverage. They're more subdued about it. They may be getting wild and crazy, but you see them more having fun rather than doing things with certain things, certain inappropriate. Got to be 21 or older to imbibe.
Right.
And it's kind of coming around where it is definitely making an impact. People are thinking about it, not only on the admissions end or the hiring end, but on the kids themselves.
Yeah. And that's what I mean, like we said, that those pictures don't go away, and some kids don't think about that. They don't realize the long-term effect that those pictures that they post and the things that they post they're going to stay out there, and the people are going to be able to find those things and link that back to them later on when they're trying to get into college, when they're trying to get a job, and even people that are meeting people online and they're want to get married, they can do a search or try to find what kind of their background, and I mean there's people that before they'll date someone they got to do a background search on them, and they're going to find pictures and things about them that they may not want to know about them.
So.
Nudies?
All right, and we want to talk about Ed Camp newbies, and Matt and I are newbies at Ed Camp, so if you want to kind of fill us in on what is an Ed Camp and how do they work?
I'm going into my sophomore year of Ed Camp.
Oh, they have years in Ed Camp?
No, they don't. But
is it like band camp?
It's not band camp. No. Sorry, I had to think about real band camp or movie band camp. Ed Camp it's a pretty simple format, and the idea is you speak with your feet, and it's all discussion based. So I went to one last year, and I'm going to the same one again this year. And there are several people now in our district, including Jake and Matt, who've decided they're going to go attend one this year. Ed Camp's a movement. People who got tired of going to traditional conferences where they would go in and they would sit down and there would be a speaker. Speaker would deliver information. They would take notes and video, and you'd get a lot of this. And they felt like they weren't they wanted to be more interactive. So they developed the idea of an Ed Camp, which is you go in, you sit, you meet and greet everybody.
Okay.
And they put up a board, and on the board are room numbers and times. And then they give everybody either Post-it notes or dry erase markers, and you just go to the board and you write what you want to talk about.
Okay.
So you may want to talk about flipping the classroom, or maybe social media, or some, strategies for teaching whatchamacallits to jigamadoodles in CTE 304. You can put that down. And if there's anybody else that knows anything about whatchamacallits and thingamadoodles, you'll get them in there to talk about it.
Yeah.
And you go in, so then the organizers will, they'll make kind of group-like conversations together, and you just go with your iPad or your phone and you take a picture of the schedule. And then for the rest of the day, following the time schedule, you go to those rooms and you sit down and you just introduce yourself to everybody who's there, and then they have a discussion. How are you solving this problem?
Yeah.
So one we went to last year, it was how do we make professional development more interesting and involving? And we actually ended up meeting a guy from Denton ISD. His name's Chris Shade.
Okay.
And he was there. He's he's a Title I coordinator and campus improvement guru.
Okay.
I guess is what you'd call him. And he was just kind of asking some questions, and all he did was ask questions. And we responded with our frustrations, with our successes and things like that. And after an hour, we were all like, hey, this is great. And we exchanged business cards and information, and we continued the conversation elsewhere.
Yeah.
And then we went to other discussion rooms. One of them I went to was with Todd Nesloni, one of the tech ninjas. Mm-hmm. Very interesting discussion there about flipping the classroom. So as newbies, be prepared to talk. If you go into it and you just sit there and you listen, everybody's going to be like, so what do you have to say? And they're going to be very forceful about it.
Okay. So it's kind of more of a round table instead of sitting in there and just listening to one presenter talk. In turn, everybody becomes a presenter at one point or another.
And you'll get some seated discussion tables. So, for example, like Todd Nesloni, it wasn't wasn't that he tried to go there and sit down and have a conversation. He was there specifically to talk about flipping the classroom.
Yeah.
But he wasn't presenting. He was just facilitating.
Right.
So,
just kind of giving his ideas and throwing it in there when you're talking about it and bringing it up.
So he would give people ideas if they didn't know how to do something. He would give them suggestions and how to bring different things in. And that's the Ed Camp idea, and it's kind of become a movement.
Yeah.
And Ed Camp has now moved to the point where there's lots of them. Mm-hmm. I'm going to Ed Camp Houston next week. I'll give them a little plug. And you guys are going to?
I'm going to the Region 4 one on the 3rd, which is, I don't know what the
Ed
the
Camp
name of it.
Something?
Yeah, I'd have to check again to see exactly what it's called.
So I'm going to the one week before you guys, right?
Okay.
You're going to the one at Region 4?
Yes.
Or do you even know?
I don't know right now.
Yeah, I think I have my admission thing in my bag. I'd have to look at it, but
oh, wow, you have an admission thing.
Well, I printed it out just to make sure I remembered when it was.
Would that be a ticket?
Yeah, I guess.
He's got the golden ticket.
Well, it's hard to say tickets now because it's all just a barcode. Yeah. You don't even need
actually,
a physical ticket.
I think I have it on my iPhone under Passport. What is that thing? I don't know.
You should know.
It's an app. But it's there because I remember putting
the tech
it there.
spec. Come on, Josh.
I'm not a tech spec. I'm an iTech.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
So, but one of the articles I did read recently was that the newbies, they go, they attend, and then they don't ever go back.
Yeah.
And they were kind of like, why are they not re-attending? Well, part of it for me has been there was some satisfaction in what I did, and then there was some dissatisfaction. So I spent 2 or 3 hours learning some stuff with some great discussion, and there were a couple of hours where, and I got up, and when we say vote with your feet,
Yeah.
if you're in a discussion and it's not going anywhere, or only one person is talking and you don't seem to be able to get your a discussion going,
Yeah.
you can get up and leave and go to another session. And I did. I got up and left. And I ended up not going to another session. I actually ended up getting pulled into a discussion and training on Twitter.
Yeah.
Because I've had my Twitter account since 2008, and there were some teachers who knew that, and they were like, hey, we want to know what you use Twitter for.
Yeah.
And so we just sat down, and I showed them how to get on, and we talked about how to build a PLN, and we didn't even have a room. We just took a table up in the lobby at the Kincaid School.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Yeah, and that's, I mean, kind of like you said, I mean, if you don't like a session at, at TCEA, there was, I was in a session and I was like, I don't know if I really like it. But I mean, you feel like you can't walk out. Mm-hmm. And that's, one of those where you're in there.
Well, there's actually a guy with headphones at the back standing there, an earpiece, right? And he's standing there with he's all security guard man, making sure you're sitting in your seat, you're not standing on the wall.
Yeah, there was one session. He's like, all right, find a seat. And I'm like, I want to stand up. It's like, no, you got to sit down.
Yeah, so, you have to sit down. The fire marshal said.
Right.
Because Fire Marshal Bill is going to come get you.
Matt's looking like he's got something to say.
Matt looks like, he's just, Matt's eyebrows are up, but he's not saying anything.
No, I was just going to say that all you got to do is give somebody a badge and they take total control. So
that doesn't work for me.
My dad's an example of that. We gave him a fake sheriff badge for Christmas one year, and
really,
he
he ran Christmas.
So what I was going to ask is, so you're asking why newbies don't come back to Ed Camp.
Uh-huh.
Hopefully they're not the ones getting walked out on, because that'd be a terrible feeling if it's your first one and you feel like you're really talking about something good and everybody gets up and walks out on you.
Well, if you talk a lot like I do, that's probably what's happened.
I would have walked out on you, Josh.
Yes, I know you would have.
You're just rambling about nothing. And
yeah, talking about what? Newbies, and how do we spell newbies? But no, the discussion really centered on the fact that as we continue to grow as teachers and we continue to seek and instructional technology specialists and integrating technology and learning about all the stuff that's out there, it is becoming overwhelming. And Ed Camp, while a great idea, there's so many of them now. They're really becoming popular that a lot of the newbies may be electing not to go back to the same one.
Right.
They're going to different ones to kind of see what kind of conversations they can get out of different ones. Also, some of them, they're just not used to the idea of being in that kind of open format.
Yeah.
They wanted to sit and get, we call it. So with that whole idea of I want to sit and get, Ed Camp is not sit and get. They don't want to sit there, and they don't want to go back because they feel like they didn't get anything.
Right, and that's I mean, some people, like you said, they want to go sit and watch and take their notes, even though that's not the way they should be headed. They're still kind of stuck in that format of learning and teaching still as well.
And there's also a perception still in professional development, and that perception is that we don't seek it out as a person to better ourselves sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes, we kind of fallen into this idea that we go to be told what is something that we can go back to our classroom and put to use tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So when I go to a training, I want to sit down and I want to make it and take it, or sit and get, because tomorrow I'm going to use it.
Right.
And Ed Camp is not that kind of format. It's a discussion. It's to make you think about, and then maybe go do some research.
Yeah.
And figure out how you can use the ideas that you discussed.
Yeah.
Not something you're going to run back to the classroom and start using right away.
Yeah. And I think that's the problem. A lot of people, they want stuff given to them. They want, here, this is how you make it, go use it, instead of making it their own and adapting it to their classroom. And I think that's what you're saying with the Ed Camp is they're going to give you ideas, but it's not going to be exact, this is how you have to do it. They're going to help you kind of get to what you need to make it work for your own classroom.
Or you'll hear their ideas, and then you go back and adapt their ideas to make it work for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what, some of the stuff that I got from TCEA, we're trying to use that and work it into classrooms. And next year we're looking at starting a technology book club, and where the kids will read books and then they'll blog about it and then create a website when they're done. And so I went to a session on it, and so I think it'll be, you know, something good for the kids to get used to using technology and, you know, how to blog appropriately and, you know, things that they can put online. And then obviously creating the website and things that they can use.
My tip is always talk about falling out of bed. I seem to get a lot of hits when I talk about falling out of bed. We're going to go to commercial and hear from our sponsor, TCCA.
We're going on a knowledge hunt. We're going on a knowledge hunt. Time to join the party. Time to join the party. Meet your friends here. Meet your friends here. Make connections. Make connections. Try some neat stuff. Try some neat stuff. Get yourself some good eats. Get yourself some good eats.
We hope to see everybody at TCCA in October. Flipping the faculty meeting. We've talked about flipping the classroom. Let's talk about flipping our meetings. Flipping the faculty meeting, Jake. What do you think?
Well, I think it's
I did
something
not try to
that-
rhyme on purpose.
I think it's something that we definitely need to do because I know at my school, and I'm sure at your school and probably Matt's school, that in your faculty meetings, you, just like in the classroom where we don't want to sit and just listen to information, we sit and we listen to information. We're not really listening. We're not really paying attention. We're doodling. We're taking notes. We're writing our calendar about what's happening next week or what I need to do tomorrow, instead of really paying attention to what's happening at that faculty meeting.
If my principal's listening right now, I do not do any of those things. I listen to every single word.
Yeah.
We all do.
that.
I did not beat level 130 on Candy Crush at the last meeting.
Oh, just 129.
Yeah. Well,
But
the battery died, so. But Jake, you're right.
yeah.
We're asking we're asking teachers not to teach kids or students with the idea of sitting down and gathering information. We're trying to get them interactive and getting them involved. And yet, I have not been to a meeting since I left the elementary, because I used to work elementary levels. I haven't been to a meeting in a middle school or a high school where we did anything besides a training I was given, actually. I think that was the last time I did anything, because I brought something for them to do so that they
Yeah.
would actually have engagement. And then as soon as I was finished, we went right back to, here's the slideshow. We're on PowerPoint number 300. Okay, there's 360 slides in this.
Yeah.
And we got 180 of them done. We got 180 more to go. Everybody, get comfortable. And that's something that I really hate about faculty meetings, too. Typically, we have to have them in a place like the cafeteria because we don't have a big enough, place to meet with chairs
Yeah.
for all the teachers. And if you've been on a cafeteria lately and you've sat on one of those tables, on the benches for one of those tables, my back is not what it used to be.
Yeah.
It's even worse at a pre-K center.
Yeah,
God.
the tables are about yay high.
I couldn't do it. I bet all the teachers bring chairs. I just couldn't do it. I'd
No,
have to.
everybody, we do have higher up tables. They all crowd to those. So if that's the incentive for being there first, because you get one of the higher tables.
Yeah,
Wow.
we have a few teachers that roll their chair into our faculty meetings, and I mean we don't even have the tiny little tables.
For our day-long ones, I mean the professional development at the beginning of the year, yeah, they
You'd
bring
have
their
to.
chairs.
Yeah.
You'd have to. So flipping the faculty meeting would essentially be that 360 PowerPoint slideshow.
Yeah.
You give that information to the teacher first, and you say, you need to read this. You need to look through this. And then the meeting is about checking for that knowledge.
Yeah.
You're not giving them the knowledge. They gain the knowledge. They come to the meeting, and they do an activity that demonstrates to you as the administrator or the person in charge of that section of the meeting that they've done their work.
Right. Yeah, and that's, I mean, like you said with the ed camps, where you go and you have discussions about things that they want to learn more about, you could do the same idea with your faculty meeting, where you give them all the information that they need to know, and then they come back and be like, all right, what didn't you understand, or what do you need, and everybody kind of puts their ideas that they need to discuss and understand better, and then you have someone facilitate those different discussions
Sure.
and figure out what they need to know.
And it kind of comes back to the idea that we're not the expert in everything. So the person that's doing the presentation or the slideshow, the 300 slides, most of the time they just went to the meeting and they were lectured to, and then they were told to turn around and come do the same for their staff.
The dreaded training of the trainer.
So imagine the more meaningful discussion and what people would take from it if you put it on them to come up with how they're going to apply it and use it in their classroom.
Yeah, and that's
in half the time too, because it won't take the full hour and a half faculty meeting.
Yeah, we always have our, counselor or testing specialists. They come back and they're like, all right, I just had this meeting, all day long with 500 slides, and they're like, I'm going to cut it down for you. And it's like, do you really understand those 500 slides, that you're trying to, force on, trying to go through in 30 minutes, and it's just not going to happen. And you're not really going to understand it, like you said, if we discuss it and kind of talk about the things that we don't understand, it's going to help everyone understand it a lot better, not just the people, the teachers that are being presented to, the person who's supposed to be presenting, because they'll have more time to discuss it.
And don't get me wrong, we're not perfect. I did a training the other day, and it was on Chromebooks, and I put Chromebooks in front of everybody, and then I sat there and told them what to do. And we didn't do any exploring. We didn't do anything fun. It was, click here, I use this for this. Click here, I use this for that.
Yeah.
And I realized afterwards, I was like, that training sucked. And I do have to apologize to my English language arts department. I didn't take the time to really get them involved in a good training. And so I'm going to go back and hit it hard next time. And one of the things I'm doing is I'm going to send out that pre-packet of information.
Yeah.
And then say, everybody bring something that they want to use, or that they've had some issues with, and let's see how we can break it down and use our technology.
Yeah. And that's when the training that I did last week, I put everything on my website, just kind of some basic bullet points, and then I showed them that, and then kind of went through it, and I'm like, all right, you can kind of go back to this and look at it if you don't remember, and then keep exploring and checking out, because we were creating websites and then using the iPads, and just kind of gave some bullet points that they could go back to and refresh their own memory, so that it wasn't me just talking to them the whole time and just giving them the information, here, this is how you do it, but let them create that and take some time to figure out how to use it.
And one aspect of flipping the faculty meeting that we have to remember, it will take you time to flip. Yeah. You can't just send 360 slides to your faculty and say, you all do this, and then we'll have some fun thing to do in the meeting.
Yeah.
It's going to take you some planning, and that is the biggest reason why I failed at my last little training I was just talking about. I didn't take the time to plan it. You have to take the time to plan. From now on, I realize I've got to take that time. Right. There's probably still going to be some meetings that I throw out there that are going to just blep. But I'm going to try and do things that, and remember things and get a tool basket going of ideas for how to engage.
Yeah.
Matt?
No, you took what I was going to say, that the thing about preparation, that
he's not engaged.
Yeah.
No, I was engaged. I'm trying to think of what I was going to say instead because you stole my idea. But no, it's
an idea thief.
It puts a lot on the presenter, because they can't just go up there and throw that slideshow up anymore. They've actually got to understand it, and they've got to send out a specific goal for what they want you to accomplish. It's not, here, do this anymore. There was no meaning behind that before. It was doing it because you had to do it to have a sign-in sheet to send to the district.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I think one of the cool things is, now that we're on PowerPoint, we're actually putting together a No More PowerPoint webinar.
Yeah.
That's coming up this month. No, it's in May. Coming up in the month of May, No More PowerPoint.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about strategies to avoid putting us to, boring us to death, putting us to sleep with PowerPoints. And how to use slideshows, because I can remember when I went to college and was really, taught all the stuff about, Microsoft Office. It was the big new thing. I'm showing my age, yes. But it was the programs that everybody had to have because they were so cool. And I remember the first slideshows that I put together in PowerPoint, and how, 30 or 40 slides, and we'd all sit there just enthralled with it. Nobody would have dreamed that 15 years later we just absolutely, nails on a chalkboard, hate it.
Yeah.
And we've got ways of getting around that. So we're going to share those with you in our upcoming webinar. Keep an eye on ePortal for anybody that's in our district. If you're not in our district, keep an eye on our website, because Jake here has been getting pretty good at putting up some of the information that we discuss.
Yeah, and that it kind of reminded me. You said that how 15 years ago, PowerPoint was the greatest thing. Well, I had a teacher tell me that they were in a classroom and it had a chalkboard, and the kids were just amazed with writing with chalk on the chalkboard, because most of the kids now don't use chalk on chalkboards, and they don't use it. So it's kind of funny how you're amazed with the technology, and then they're amazed with just these basic, simple things, but they don't use it anymore, and it's not what you're used to. So I think that it's just the new things and the change, something that's different than what they're used to all the time. And we're used to PowerPoints all the time. We've seen it, we've done it, we don't want to see them anymore.
That's right.
And so you want to see something new, something different that keeps you engaged and keeps it moving.
And don't be afraid to bring toys. I've learned that lesson. Don't be afraid to bring in unusual topics and ideas. I've trained with G.I. Joes. I've trained with tractors. I've trained, because, being from a country boy stuck in the city, which is the motto of my website, I've brought in some of these things that I grew up with, and most of the time, it becomes a conversation starter. One of the things that we did recently was somebody brought in hula hoops, and they did, this team building exercise with hula hoops.
Yeah.
Well, the training that developed out of that was how to use your iPad to capture that on video, and then take that and put it up on the YouTube, on YouTube, and show the demonstration of this is how I did it, and it's real quick and easy. And it became a 10-15 minute training for the whole faculty. That was probably one of the few things I had to say that day that they appreciated, because all the rest was policy and procedure. But it's just stop and think about some things every now and then.
I think what you're saying is, with the PowerPoint and wrapping it up with the faculty meetings, is it's just what we've become used to. We've fallen in this black hole of this is how you do PowerPoint, this is how you do faculty meetings. They go hand in hand, and in order to have a successful faculty meeting, you got to have a PowerPoint. You got to watch it. You got to talk, turn around, read exactly what's on the slide. So,
and I'm going to throw out there that Jake's idea with the website, brilliant. I've seen that now in a couple of different presentations. I'm glad you're using it. I've got to grow up and start using it, which means I've got to change my background on my website. But it's a brilliant idea. You've solved two problems with one fell swoop there. I was going to say two birds, one stone, whatever. One, he's now got it in a presentation so that he can access it and show it to him. And two, it's accessible by everybody else later.
Yeah.
You don't have to I don't have to go back to my classroom and email everybody a PowerPoint.
Yeah.
So it's already up.
Well, and then the third thing, I don't have to print out what I showed teachers at the end of the year for my portfolio. And that's, one thing I was just talking to my wife about, how they're trying to get their portfolios together, and it's like, why, and we've talked about this, the digital portfolios instead, but why are we not putting this stuff online? And that way, it's all right there. It's easily accessible for portfolios or for teachers, going back trying to look at it later.
I'm going to actually ask for funding for stickers that say, do not print. Because I am to the point where I want to start putting stickers on all my printers that say, do not print, do not print.
Yeah.
Wouldn't those stickers have to be printed, though?
Good point. But they'd be pretty. Anyway, I think we've kind of got to the, we've finished up the whole flipping the faculty.
Yeah.
We'll leave you with this. Flip the faculty, folks. Not literally. We don't want them all on their heads. But take the information home, learn it, and then give them something fun to do in the class that day. And always remember to feed your faculty. They really like to be fed. Just a quick tip from the larger of the two. All right. I am Josh Hicks and at JP Big Boy.
And I'm Jake Elmhorst at JElmhorst54.
And I'm Matt Tomaselli at M Tomaselli.
And this has been iTechNation.
You stay techie, Houston. I think that was the best.
Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom.
You want to do the road trip? It goes flying out the party ground and goes.
And action.
mean, I'm fine. I can start talking, but you're just like,
Jake, what do you got? Oh, flipping the
stand there.
We're having a Seinfeld moment where you're not going to be able to get past it.